Everything you need to know about the Vigo Dem Party. So sit back, relax, and watch from anywhere. Get ready for a chat with a chair.
I'm Joe Etling, Chair of the Vigo County Democratic Central Committee, and welcome to the award-winning Chat with the Chair. We're delighted you could join us. We got a huge show this evening. Reminder to everybody that early voting, believe it or not, has started for the primary, the May primary, so you can go to the Vigo County Annex and vote early. So please get out and exercise your right to vote. It's so important. And of course, you can vote all the way up to and including Election Day. So please do so. Encourage everybody to be involved in the process. I don't want to delay any further. We've got a legend in the studio this evening. So I want to turn here and go ahead and remind our viewers who you are.
Well, Joe, I'm Bill WOLFE, and I'm a local artist from, well, actually, I grew up in Clinton, but I lived in West Terre Haute now for 35 years, so I'm pretty much a West Terre Hautian. So.
Well, we hear you're a regular at the Maxville Coffee Company, so that's a whole nother story, right? But tell our viewers a little bit about your background, if you would, Bill.
Well, I used to be in television. I worked at Channel 38, the old WBAK TV, and I was the art director there for a number of years. And then I joined with Nick Telesin as a partner in an ad agency, and we did that for close to 20 years. And then I decided to become a professional artist. And well, I'd always been a professional artist, but just to do art on my own. And my very first piece was the one in front of the courthouse, the Vigo County Courthouse.
We're going to jump to that. Now, you've jumped a few years on me here, Bill. I want to go back to your days in Clinton. Well, let's go back to your youth a little bit so we can reminisce a little bit. So talk about that.
Well, I went to Clinton High School.
Home of the
Wildcats.
Wildcats. We're big about mascots here, okay? So Clinton Wildcats. That building still stands, does it not?
Yeah, most of it. But of course, they've moved to South Vermilion now.
Home of the Wildcats.
Yeah. So that and there's also Fairview, which is connected to Clinton. That's primarily from my childhood.
Okay.
And I say that I was born in Mecca, but I was actually, Mecca was my first home for the first 2 years. Okay. So how far back do you want to go, Joe?
That's good.
I don't think we need to go any further.
We've expanded you into Park County, Vermilion County, now Vigo County. So you got the whole Wabash Valley covered.
Yep. So anyway, Mecca and for first 2 years of my life, and then we moved to Fairview, which is part of Clinton, and that's where I grew up. And
awesome.
And my grandparents were, my grandpa was in Park County, and we always spent weekends and summers out in the woods. We didn't bring our toys, so when you're out in the woods with your brothers and there's nothing else but the woods, to me you have to use your creativity. And I think that was part of how I ended up using my creative mind, was when you're out in the woods and you build a tree house and you use a rope and sticks, and I started looking though wading in the creek, and there were balls of clay in the banks, and you walk along the bank and you could reach in and grab a ball of clay, and we noticed that wasn't just mud, it was different. So I would pull the pebbles out of it and mix it up real good, and I was taking a stick and making little animals.
Wow.
So, and my dad worked at the Mecca tile plant, and of course that was all clay. They made clay tile. And so our scout group went and took a tour, and Dad was showing how he carried the clay in tile into the big furnaces there. And so I asked Dad, I said, could I take some of this clay home? And he goes, yeah, get you, there was an empty Folgers coffee can. And he said, just blow it up. So I got a bunch of it, that raw clay, and took it home. And I remember the first, it was the hippopotamus from Fantasia. So I put the little tutu all on this, and made it out of clay, and I asked my mom to put it in the oven to bake it hard. And of course, when you need a really major oven like Dad had at work, you know, not one that Mom bakes pies in. But anyway, and it had a big crack in it when it got hardened there. But that was my first. So when I think back, my first pieces were little animals and a hippopotamus, and I went from that to now I look and I've got a 15-foot tall Larry Bird
statue. Yeah. So how old were you when you were making the hippopotamus? You think when we had our first dabble into?
That was Cub Scouts, so I was probably, I don't know, 9, maybe 8,
Wow.
8 or 9.
So, Bill, we'll talk here, and of course, the people who walk around this area are very familiar with how talented you are, and I know you'll be very humble about that. But when did you determine, as a young person, that you had that kind of artistic talent?
That's a good question. But my whole life, and I mean, I remember my grandma, WOLFE, Anna WOLFE, and she passed away when I was only 4. But she would sit in a rocking chair, and she would put me in her lap, and take Life magazines. She had a stack of Life magazines, and she would have me in her lap, and then she would get what was called onion skin paper. That was before it was called tracing paper. Anyway, I got onion skin paper, and I would lay it on pictures of elephants or whatever picture was in Life magazine, and I'd get a pencil, and she would make me trace them. I'd turn the next page and get another piece of paper and lay it on there. And what that was teaching me is contour drawing. So she was teaching me at 3 and 4 years old how that connection between your pencil and the brain as far as making a picture. So if anybody out there wants to help get their child involved in art and everything, maybe that's one way of doing it.
That's a great suggestion. Tiger Woods had that golf club in his hand at 3 or 4, and you had that drawing pencil, and proof's in the pudding here. So with regard to your formal training and education, did you pursue any of that, or has this all been really learning it on the job as you went?
Yeah, I'm pretty much self-taught, I think. I went to ISU, but I don't know. I had other. I was focused on training myself even more than listening to professors. I realized that I could focus and learn more because I was motivated. I knew what I wanted to do with my life, and so that's. I ended up quitting ISU, but of course I ended up getting a honorary degree in fine arts, a master's degree in fine arts. So President Bradley awarded me that eventually. So
congratulations.
Thank you. So that was a couple of years ago.
So you evolved from that hippopotamus in your mom's oven to this as your first piece. Is that correct?
Yes.
So tell our viewers about this, where it's located, and a little bit about the history of your work on it.
This is the Charles G. Abril Monument, and Charlie Abril was awarded the Medal of Honor. And anyway, Pete Johnson contacted me, and he was the artist at Channel 10, WTHI. I ended up being the artist at WBAK TV 38 at the time, so we kind of knew of each other. But once I had the ad agency, then but towards the end there, he asked me if I could do this statue that they wanted to put in front of the courthouse. So it's on the southeastern corner of the Vigo County Courthouse. And so this was my very first piece, and when he asked me if I could do it, I said, I'm not sure, but I'm willing to try. And so what I ended up doing was, and I had no idea what I was doing, but I knew I had to build the skeleton, so I used PVC pipe and built the skeleton of him. And then I thought, well, how am I going to build up the figure? And I knew I could use clay, but I didn't want to pack that much clay together. It would end up being extremely heavy. So I collected the Tribune Star, and I wadded up the Tribune Star and would put that on the PVC pipe and then wrap duct tape around it and build up, and then put the Tribune Star just wadded up, and just wrap duct tape. So I built the whole figure out of the Tribune Star.
Wow.
Newspaper. So
yeah, you're probably not going to learn that in any formal education how to do that. That would not
Yeah.
seem to be in
Yeah.
Statue Building 101.
No. So then I put screen wire over that, and then started in with the clay. So then with the clay, then I start putting these folds in the cloth and everything.
That's
So,
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, for a guy that didn't know what he was doing, you did a remarkable job for a piece that sure is a landmark in Vigo County.
And that was the start of my career, really, in sculpture. So since then, I've got probably 4 sculptures all over, from Massachusetts to Virginia, Dayton, Ohio. I did Orville Wright for Dayton, Ohio.
Sure.
Of course, over in Illinois, and Abraham Lincoln and Marshall.
Wow.
So
So it's been a couple days ago with this one. Did you have any recollection of how long your first took to construct?
that probably took me about 5 months, I would say, since I didn't know what I was doing, and
Good thing you had a subscription to the Tribune Star.
Yeah.
Yeah, that worked out well, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So you've talked about some other pieces that you have, and of course, maybe some people haven't seen that in Dayton, Ohio, or Marshall. They got to work their way over to Marshall. That's a short drive, but you've got some iconic pieces here in Vigo County for certain. Let's talk about some of those.
Well, I've recently done of course, Brent Long and his dog Shadow,
Yes.
the fallen police officer, and then the next one, Rob Pitts, and that one. They're getting ready to install the Rob Pitts Memorial too.
Yeah, and those were ones that we wish you didn't have to prepare for
Yeah.
certain, and I know that's how your feelings are. But talk about emotion that you felt and the reaction you've gotten from people in law enforcement regarding that work.
Well, great support, and they're so thankful, for me to do that for them. My son is a police officer.
Okay.
And so, like you say, it's one pieces that you don't want to have to do, but and there's the pressure on me to do a good job, because you've got an officer who gave his life protecting us.
Sure.
And his job, and hopefully my job is to do a good job as far as doing a good likeness of them.
Sure.
And portraying them in a gallant way, I guess.
So will Officer Pitts be located at the same spot, or?
Yeah, out in front of the new police
station.
And the one I'm working on now is Greg Ferenczi's.
Okay.
Officer Ferenczi.
So the expectation is that'll be in front of the new police station as well?
All 3 of them.
Okay.
Yep. So that's going to be a really great honor and a great memorial for those officers, and for all of them, for all the police officers.
Well, needless to say, they're just so tragic, and they've impacted so many people in this community. But it's unbelievable that they have some of your talent to memorialize them in that way, so that their families and friends and fellow police officers can continue to pay respect to their service to this community. So
Yes.
we thank you for that. Of course, when we talked about the courthouse, I'm a frequent visitor over there, and I can't help but get distracted walking through the first floor, because there's some, if you haven't been to the courthouse, the murals on the walls there, that's another talent that you have that is different than the statue work. Talk about those.
Mm-hmm. Well, historian Mike McCormick came to me, and Keith Rubel, and they both asked me if I thought I could do some
Now, if
murals.
Mike was involved, that probably wasn't a short conversation, I don't imagine.
No, you're right. But so we've got 4 walls.
Yes.
So we had to choose. We had to pick a theme or what we were going to do for those, and of course, and the first one was Mother Guerin,
Yes.
a historical figure for Vigo County. And then there was the one with the 53. I painted 53 of the most famous celebrities from Vigo County on the other mural, and what was the other one was the Crossroads of America. We painted the Crossroads sign, and then incorporated the beginnings, which was Fort Harrison.
Yes.
And the coal mines and the beginnings of flight with the Johnson brothers, and who I think their built the Johnson brothers laboratory was right here.
Is that right?
Yeah, until they moved up north. Anyway, so anyway, and the other one was Vigo, Francis Vigo mural. So each one was so much fun for me to do. I wanted to make sure I did something that would be colorful.
They absolutely are that, and they're beautiful, and add so much to that courthouse. So tell our viewers, though, in preparing those, were those done on site, or did you do those remotely and then bring those into the courthouse?
Well, I've had other artists say, "Well, that's not a mural. You didn't paint it on the wall." Well, you can paint murals. You can paint murals on panels and hang them on the wall. I don't know who made up the rule that it has to be right there on the wall. But anyway, what a great thing. And I have to say, each mural, a normal artist would sketch things out so they would know exactly where everything was going to go beforehand. I started each mural not knowing
Wow.
where anything was going to go. I looked at the big 8-foot panel and thought, okay, I'm just going to start painting, and it would just spread out from there. And so when I got that one done, I went, okay, that was a little difficult because I didn't have anything planned out. I'm going to make sure I plan this one out. So the second one, I started it the same way. I don't know why I couldn't do it. I could not plan. And I guess maybe in my own mind, it kept it fresh for me. I didn't have to follow. Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, you'd be probably great to have go over to hang pictures at my house, so you don't have to eyeball it. Just it goes there, here, there, and it's done. That's quite a gift that you have there, because it would appear from walking in and looking at that, and I've looked at it so many times, and every time I look at it, I think I see something different in those. But it is.
When I painted the 53 people,
yeah.
and I think I only had 52 on there, but I signed it, the bottom lower right-hand corner, and Keith Rubel was getting ready to come and pick it up and get it framed, make the frame for it. And I looked at it and I thought, you know what? I left off Bobby Slick Leonard. And I thought, I can't let this mural go out without having Bobby Leonard on it.
Yeah.
So I just painted Bobby Leonard right over my signature, and then I re-signed it.
Was that it?
Another.
Yeah, he's got a prominent spot there. So
Yeah.
he's we lost him fairly recently. So yeah, he was definitely a person that loved Vigo County and sure brought
And
a lot.
when we unveiled Larry Bird's statue, and I remember being up there and shaking Larry's hand and Quinn Buckner's, and so, several of the others, and Bill Walton.
Yeah.
But when Bobby Leonard came over and shook my hand, and the hair stood up on the back of my neck, and it was almost, and I started getting choked up. I couldn't, when you meet somebody and it, does that to you.
That's great.
So.
Yeah. Boom, baby, for sure.
Yeah.
So you brought up the Larry Bird statue, so I know that all our viewers have driven by or stopped by or walked by and just amazed at that creation. So talk about that and all the labor and love that went into that project.
Yeah, I made the Larry Bird statue when my studio was at 6.5 in Ohio, the old Mace showroom.
Yep.
And I worked a lot at night because a lot of times during the day I would get too many visitors stopping in, and talking, and so I'd work a lot at night, and a lot of cars driving by and honking when you're working in there. And at one time I had Larry's leg upside down with his tennis shoe up here, and was sanding the foam figure first before I put the clay on it, and I'd hear people laugh and say, put a shade on it, but
Like the Christmas Story or something.
Yes,
There you go.
yes.
So I take it that the clay you're using on that bird statue didn't come out of the creek up in Fairview, did it?
no, it's a different clay. Plasticine, oil base, never dries.
Well,
So, and when I got done with the Larry Bird statue, I took it to the foundry. Then they made the molds. They give me back the original sculpture. So,
Wow.
so I can peel the clay off of it and reuse all that clay.
wow.
So I'm basically cheap. That's what I am.
Recycling, that's impressive.
I reuse it, but
Well, Larry'd probably be honored that you're that cheap, right?
probably maybe, but yeah. And then, of course, the Shawley High School Golden Bear.
Oh, yeah.
On Ohio Street, when I got Larry Bird's statue back, and then they contacted me, wanted me to make a golden bear, so I took a sawzall and just carved out a bear right out of Larry's chest. So I reused that figure.
Wow.
So when you see the bear down there on Ohio, that's
Well, they're going to have to add a Larry Bird jersey to the the Shamrock hat and the Christmas hat and all that. They're going to have to add a bird jersey. History.
And when then I brought what was left of the bear, and I put him in the garage, the bear, and we got him cast into bronze. And so my wife kept walking out in the garage and seeing this bear out in the garage, and she said, why don't you get rid of that thing? Well, it was about then that the people at the eagle, the purple eagle, Garfield. And they came and wanted to know if I could make them a new eagle. So I took the bear, the Shawley bear, and carved an eagle out of that bear.
Wow.
So Larry just keeps getting
smaller and smaller.
Yeah. So
there's still hope for us. We might get a statue out of Larry somehow yet. But that's awesome. I know that all those Schulte Golden Bear grads sure enjoy that, and it brings a lot of joy to people to see that decorated for the various holidays. So I know it's a tough question and probably not a fair question to ask you, but of all those statues, do you have a favorite?
I get, the Larry Bird, because it's the biggest one I've ever done so far. But
so how did you arrive at 15 feet? How did that become the marker for that size of that statue?
the Larry Legend Foundation, Brad Fenton, I met with him, and we decided, since Magic Johnson's statue is 12 feet, that we decided we were going to make Larry's bigger. And they talked about 13, making Larry's 13 feet. And I said, let's go bigger than, if we're going to go big or go home. So I can see them maybe coming back and trying to make Magic
just a little tall.
Yeah. I said, let's go 15 feet with Larry. So that's how we arrived at.
Well, they had a great ceremony for the unveiling of that. Any remembrances of that you'd like to share with our viewers?
Just it was a great day, and I had to get up and speak, which
is your forte. I mean, we've figured that out.
Yeah, no, not really. But I still consider myself a country boy. I'm not really in front of the camera. Here I am in front of the cameras, but I'm an artist, and what I do is make art, and a lot of artists, that's the reason they are artists, is because they're not real good communicators. So we communicate.
You are a great artist, to say the least, and you've been a real gem for this community. So you got any projects underway that you could share with us right now? Wiley Red Streak's been calling, or?
Well, I helped them with their plaza,
right.
the Wiley, yeah. So yeah, Greg Ferenczi, Officer Ferenczi is one. Getting the Purple Eagle installed for Garfield. He's right now he's sitting in my driveway. So I got a big 7-foot eagle.
Is it actually purple?
Part of it is purple.
All right.
I kept it, rather than paint the eagle all purple, which I don't think would have been attractive really. I did the edge of the feathers. It came out really nice. When you look at it from a distance, you don't notice it as much, and then you get up close and you see the purple then. But it turned out really nice, I think. So.
How about your drawings? Any favorites that you want to talk about? I know we saw that you've had some displayed even at the Maxville Coffee Company. Some great work, and any favorites that you can reflect on?
I'm going to give a real boring answer, but they're all my favorites.
That's a good answer.
I just and one thing that I do is when I work on my sculpture for so long, I start getting real antsy and I want to paint. So luckily I've been able to work on a sculpture and then swing off and work on painting for a little while, and then about that time finishing up painting, here comes another sculpture project, and I'm ready to get right back into sculpture. So it bounces back and forth, and it works out. And I've been doing this for many years now, and what I've said before is that I'm older, and I'm finding it's getting a little easier for me. So I feel like I'm getting better, and I've said, by the time I'm 90, I'm going to be really good.
Well, if you're going to get better, we're in store for some unbelievable things then. But it's so neat that again you're leaving a legacy throughout the community for yourself and your family. Just out of curiosity, have you been able to mentor anybody, or is there anybody that's you've been able to kind of pass along some of your tricks of the trade, you think?
Well, one who you've probably heard of is Becky Hochkaller, and she worked with us at the ad agency, and I've kind of helped her along a little bit.
Awesome.
and given her ideas. She's just a good friend, and her and Rusty are great people, and she's I thought she's going to be she's quite a bit younger, but she's moving along, and people are going to know her too.
That's awesome.
So, and my grandson, Cooper. He's going to be a pretty good artist, too.
How old is Cooper?
He's 10.
Okay.
So
Hope Cooper's watching here, so
yeah.
pay attention to your grandfather. He's
going to be a really good artist, and I got a couple of others. The 6-year-olds, Lily, she's been in the studio and helped me spread clay on the figures, and Brandon also. So
we got to pull that the sketch paper out then for him, right?
Yeah,
keep him going.
There's going to be at least 3 wolves coming up that you're probably going to know of too.
That is awesome. You want to tell about your family a little bit? We kind of skipped over your family, so let's talk about your family.
Well, my wife, Marina, she's a nurse. Now, she just retired, but she's been busier than ever since she retired, and so we've lived out in West Terre Haute and raised our kids out there. And
how many children do you have?
I have 2.
Okay.
I have Bryant and Austin, and Bryant has 3 sons, and his wife Danielle, and then my youngest son Austin, and he's got 2 little girls, Abigail June, and then Lily. And Lily's the one; she's going to be an artist. And anyway, his Austin's wife Carrie, and they live behind us on the lake, Kenwood Lake. So anyway, I just feel blessed and lucky to have my family here. A lot of kids, they move
Right.
far away. I'm lucky, mine, and maybe they're lucky that Grandpa's there to be there to get them off of the school bus.
Absolutely, there's no doubt about that. Well, I can tell you're proud, and you definitely are blessed, and we appreciate you sharing all that with us. So you've had such a storied career, and it's amazing the things that you've done and the things that you've done to make other people's lives better and happier. Any advice that you pass along that you've kind of picked up along the way that you might pass along to our viewers?
I think, if you want to be an artist, if not just an artist, if you want to do anything, you can do it. Any youngster out there that they have it in their head that they'd like to do something, you can do it. If you want to be an astronaut, whatever you want to do. I've had to study an awful lot myself, but if you persevere, and you can train yourself just as much as going to college. I'm not downplaying college, but if you have the ambition, that's what you need to do whatever you want to do. So that's the only thing I can say is
that's great advice. That is awesome advice, and the proof is in the pudding, as they say. The guy can start from scratch and cobble together newspapers, and it's amazing. Amazing story, Bill. We really are delighted you came in and joined us, Chat with the Chair, your first time, and we want to open up to you. I know as an artist you probably are quite overwhelmed by the blazer. That's the signature blazer. So
well, when I do the statue of you, I'll put that blazer on you.
There may not be enough clay for that. But again, a true delight, and again, a legend in our community, and we are so glad he came in and shared with us. And if you haven't taken in his artwork, you've got to do that. And perhaps if you're venturing over to West Terre Haute and stop in the Maxville Coffee Company, you might just see Bill and sit down, and he'll tell you a few stories, and maybe a few we can't tell on the record here. So we just, again, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Until
our next chat, I'm Joe Etling. Thanks for joining us. Have a great evening. God bless you all.
EMOCRATIC. Everything you need to know about the Vigo Dem Party. So sit back, relax, and watch from anywhere.